On the news tonight, President Tinubu urges shift in water management to tackle food insecurity. Governor Adeleke directs Osun Police Commissioner to stop illegal taxes by APC council buses. On the foreign scene, Gabon coup leader wins the country's presidential election. Good evening, and we're glad to have you join us on the major reports. I am Olubomi Ajiboye Agbola. President Bola Tinubu has urged African countries to embrace innovative strategies to tackle the continent's irrigation and water management crisis. Represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, President Tinubu made the call today while declaring open the 6th African Regional Conference on Irrigation and Drainage, currently holding in Abuja. The president, who stressed the importance of the conference's theme, tackling irrigation, development, and water management crisis in Africa, described it as a clarion call to action for sustainable agriculture and economic resilience. President Tinubu said Africa is still facing significant challenges in harnessing its irrigation potential due to inadequate infrastructure, financial constraints, climate change, and governance issues. He added that under its renewed hope agenda, its administration has declared a national emergency on food security, which includes scaling up irrigation infrastructure and participatory water resource management. In his address, the Minister of Water, Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev, noted that the federal government is implementing several landmark initiatives under the Transforming Irrigation Management in Nigeria project. Professor Utsev noted that the next Sustainable Power and Irrigation for Nigeria project will address critical gaps identified during the trimming project while optimizing the socio-economic value of stored water to support sustainable agriculture and food security. The federal government will begin a nationwide flood awareness campaign next month to educate and sensitize Nigerians on the risks and safety measures related to flooding. The Deputy Director of the Department of Flood, Erosion Control and Coastal Management at the Federal Ministry of Environment, Mr. Kunle Awojemila, disclosed this to newsmen in Abuja. He revealed that approximately 1,249 communities across 176 local government areas in 30 states and the Federal Capital Territory are expected to experience significant flooding between April and November this year. Furthermore, the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev, emphasized that flooding remains one of Nigeria's most devastating natural disasters, warning that climate change continues to increase both the frequency and severity of flood events. The minister added that coastal and riverine states such as Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Lagos, Ogun Rivers, and Ondo are likely to experience flooding due to rising sea levels and tidal surges, with expected impacts on fishing activities, wildlife habitats, and river transport systems. Osun State Governor Senator Adeleke has directed the State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Olorundare Jimoh, to stop the imposition of illegal taxes on market operators and alleged forgery of council documents by the reinstated chairman of local councils on the platform of the All Progressives Congress. In a statement by Governor's spokesperson Malam Rashid Olawale, the governor said the development was capable of jeopardizing the sustenance of law and order at the grassroots level. According to the statement, the governor instructed the police commissioner to invite the affected council chairman for questioning for allegedly falsifying council documents, revenue collection through illegal means, and imposing illegal revenue on traders. Governor Adeleke, while referring to various reports of such illegality, especially from Borikwe Local Council, says such activities constitute an affront on the judiciary, to which the APC has filed an appeal over the sacking of its yes or no chairman. The governor also instructed the special advisor on security to liaise with the police commissioner for the implementation of the directive on illegal revenue and tax collections. In another development, Osun State government has reaffirmed its commitment to the timely commencement of academic activities at the Alternative High School for Girls, Osogbo, assuring the public that the institution will begin operations in the coming academic session. The statement comes in response to a recent news report titled 4 months after Alternative High School for Girls yet to commence operations. Speaking on the state's preparations, Commissioner for Information Oluomokola Kwalimi stated that necessary steps have been concluded for the commencement of the school. Oluomokola said he held a meeting with the top officials of the Ministry of Education, the Commissioner for Education, and the Executive Secretary of the Senior Secondary Education Board, a member of the SUBEB Board, as well as the First Lady of the state to fine-tune plans for the school's takeoff in the next academic session. He stated that the meeting also deliberated on the secondment of teachers to the school and outlined specific vocational skills to be taught alongside conventional subjects designed to make the girl child self-reliant. The state government assured the public that all logistics have been finalized and the school will commence full operations soon to fulfill its mandate in offering a second chance to girls in need of education and empowerment. The Osun State House of Assembly has taken a step toward removing barriers from the treatment of gunshot wound victims in hospitals. At the plenary session, members of the legislative body debated the Osun State Compulsory Treatment and Care for Victims of Gunshot Wounds Bill 2025. Parliamentary reporter Oluwatosin Oladokun reports.
The Osun State House of Assembly commenced its legislative activities for the week, with 3 bills passing through the first reading stage. The bills that are passed were the Osun State Customary Court of Appeal Establishment Amendment B 2025, District Customary Court and Customary Court Establishment B 2025, and Osun State Bail Discretion B 2025. Earlier, the Speaker, Right Honorable Adewale Egbedo, introduced the Private Members Bill, authored by the Deputy Majority Leader, doubles as the Chairman House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Honorable Adekunle Oladimeji. Bill is titled Osun State Commission for Peace, Reconciliation and Mediation Establishment B 2025. At the plenary, Honorable Abiola Awoyeye presented a policy thrust on the Osun State Compulsory Treatment and Care for Victims of Gunshot Wounds B 2025. According to him, the bill, when passed into law, aims to abolish neglect of gunshot victims in hospitals by domesticating the law in Osun State.
It is therefore imperative, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, that we domesticate this bill in our district so that we can make sure that people with gunshot wounds get immediate and necessary medical attention that we require.
In their submission, lawmakers such as Honorables Adeyemi Adewumi, Kashope Abolarin, Taufik Olaiwola, and Tajuddin Adeyemi emphasized that the bill will ensure immediate care and protection for gunshot victims while empowering healthcare providers. The bill was subsequently passed through the second reading. Similarly, the Osun State Communal Crisis Management and Peace Building B 2025 also passed through the second reading after Honorable Adeyemi Adewumi, representing Osun State constituency, had highlighted the bill's potential, particularly in regulating media reporting on communal-related crises. During the plenary session, Honorable Rabiu, additional representing Osun State constituency, raised an issue on behalf of the residents, especially those in villages allegedly attacked by the Lagelu community of Ibadan. He described how the alleged invaders had been consistently frustrating peace meetings aimed at resolving land boundary disputes, leading to frequent attacks. He therefore appealed to Governor Ademola Adeleke's intervention. In his response, the Deputy Speaker of the House, Right Honorable Akinyode Oiwusi, informed the House that his led ad hoc committee had been working tirelessly to resolve the boundary dispute between Iwo and Lagelu Ibadan. The Speaker, Right Honorable Adewale Egbedo, subsequently urged the committee to expedite the resolution process.
Deputy Speaker, that we talk back to the house in the next 2 weeks. I will our honorable from
Additionally, the Chairman House Committee on Environment and Sanitation, Honorable Folorunso Ogundare, brought to the attention of the House a conflict of interest between officers of Ministry of Agriculture and Department of Forestry in the Ministry of Environment and Sanitation concerning Oriliowu farm settlements. Oluwatosin Oladogun, OSBC News.
Business news. The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Adeleke, says the tariffs imposed by the United States government may be a blessing in disguise for Nigeria and Africa at large. Details of the report is presented by Esther Adeleke.
Chat section on foreign direct investments, the alchemy of foreign direct investments, turning policies into prosperity for emerging global markets in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. In a statement by Special Assistant on Media, Segun Tomori, in Abuja, the minister's remarks were part of his contribution to the discourse on the impacts of the tariffs on Africa's economic climate. The media aide also noted that Adeleke called on African countries to adopt an introspective approach by looking inward and adjusting their domestic policies to focus more on intra-African trade with less dependence on external forces. He noted that the minister stressed the need for African countries to organize economic imperatives to ensure a balance of trade and strengthen intra-African trade among countries. He reaffirmed that Nigeria's policy on mineral sector development remained strictly focused on value addition and boosting the local economy through job creation. Shareholders have commended President Bola Tinubu and the Federal Executive Council for the continuation and institution of the Naira for Crude policy as a national policy. The federal government has authorized the continuation of the Naira for Crude policy after the expiration of the initial 6-month trial phase. Under the Naira for Crude, Naira for Products transaction arrangements, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited will sell crude oil to local refineries in Naira, using Dangote Petroleum Refinery as the pilot. Also, such local refineries will sell their products to the domestic markets using the national currency. Reacting to the development, President, Association for the Advancement of Rights of Nigerian Shareholders, Dr. Farouk Umar, said steps taken so far by the government have shown that the economic reforms were well thought out, sustainable and inclusive. He said the continuation of Naira for Crude would not only ensure stability in the retail premium motor spirits or petrol markets, but also provide Nigerians with opportunity to develop its local refining markets. He called on the Dangote Group, the main and immediate beneficiary of the policy, to reciprocate the government gesture by listing its Dangote Petroleum Refinery on the stock exchange. According to him, such listing, like other members of Dangote Group, will open the benefits from the petroleum refinery value chain to the generality of Nigerians, creating a sense of inclusiveness and common purpose. Esther Adeleke reporting for OSBC.
It was a moment of thanksgiving as family and friends and loved ones paid their last respects to the late elder Matthew Adewale, who died last December at the age of 95. In his sermon, Pastor L.O. Ilubaji described the deceased as a humble and God-fearing Christian who was also a lover of his people. Esther Adeleke completes the story.
Pastor Ilubaji described the deceased as very humble, God-fearing, and a lover of Christ, who dedicated his life to the service of God and humanity. The burial ceremony was held at the Apostolic Church, Nigeria, Uyimade District, Modakeke, Osun State. While speaking with OSBC News, the eldest daughter of the family, Mrs. Ahmed Oluwatoyin Janet, said her late father was a man of integrity and devoted Christian, noting how he always helped those around him while he was alive. Also, one of the deceased children, Mr. Gbenga Adewale, described his late father as a man of honor, discipline and spiritual leader, stating that the legacy he left behind will continue to live on in the lives he touched while on earth.
I was in the house with hometown sometime April last year, and he promised me that he will receive her by December, and I told him I'm bringing our last daughter for him to see the baby, but unfortunately he could not wait to receive.
Guests were later entertained at Adeleke High School playing ground with melodious gospel music from the live band of Ashero. Late Adewale Adejuwon, who died at the age of 95, is survived by wife, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren.
Muslims have been admonished to live a life of contentment with the firm belief that Allah alone is the controller of the universe and directs the affairs of men. An Islamic cleric, Alhaji Abdulatif Kewudola, gave the admonition at the eighth day fidal of Madam Musiliat Busari, popularly known as Iyagboko, mother of Prince Lekan Busari of the OSBC Engineering Department. Oluchi Amoda reports.
Popularly known as Iyagboko, attracted dignitaries from far and near, including notable Islamic clerics, children, family friends and well-wishers who gathered at the residence of the deceased at Okiola Street, Ojoba area of Osogbo, to pay for the repose of her soul. In his sermon at the ceremony, an Islamic cleric, Alhaji Abdulatif Kewudola, who doubles as chairman Ratibi Isale Osun, described death as a necessary end for mankind, as no one will leave the world alive. The cleric noted that the faithful need to serve Allah in their work and in their deeds, because the journey of man on earth is a temporary one. Hence, humans must be mindful of their relationship with their Creator and fellow men. Alhaji Kewudola maintained that the world is full of challenges, hence the need for the faithful to live a life of contentment, because human wants will always remain insatiable. He described the late Madam Musiliat Busari as a woman who served Allah and humanity in work and in deed. In their separate interviews with OSBC News, some of the children of the deceased, among whom were Prince Lekan Busari of OSBC Engineering Department, Ms. Olamilekan Olawore, and a family member, Prince Oshunyemi Adebayo, who doubles as the Babosha of Oshogoland and its environs, described the late Iyagboko as a peace-loving mother who loves everyone equally without discrimination and very accommodating to all. Late Madam Musiliat Busari, popularly known as Iyagboko, died on the 6th of April 2025 at the age of 72 and has since been buried in accordance with Islamic rites. She is survived by children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Oluchi Amuda, OSBC News.
You are welcome to the sports segment. Nigeria's Flying Eagles will begin their quest for an 8th continental title against Tunisia, Kenya and Morocco in Group B of the 2025 Under-20 AFCON in Egypt. Olamilekan Balogun reports.
While commenting on the new draw for the upcoming Under-20 AFCON in Egypt, the head coach of Nigeria Flying Eagles, Aliu Zubairu, stated that he believes it's time for Nigerians to stop viewing some teams as stronger while considering others weaker, noting that there are no minor opponents in Africa but depends on the level of preparation. While also expressing confidence in his team, the coach pointed out that football requires preparation for any opponent rather than making excuses. Reflecting on the team's 3-week training camp in Castina, he noted significant improvements, stating that the players have increased their adaptability and team cohesion, and they are not intimidated by the North African teams in their new group. The 7-time African champions are set to travel to Egypt this week for an 8-day final preparation phase before the competitions begin. The 24th African Under-20 Cup of Nations will take place in Egypt from April 27 to May 18 of this year. All 4 semi-finalists from the tournaments in Egypt will represent Africa at this year's FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile, which will be held from September 27 to October 19. Former Nigerian international John Untaka has advised the Super Eagles players to remain determined and positive of qualifying for the 2026 World Cup. South Africa lead Group C with 13 points. Nigeria have 7 points, 8 points behind Rwanda and Benin, who have 8 points each. Speaking newsman, Utaka stated that the players must show more commitment and be determined to still qualify for the 2026 World Cup. He noted that the players needed to come together and stay focused on achieving the World Cup dream and must be determined like other countries. Olamilekon Balogun, reporting for OSBC News.
Moving on to the foreign scene, Gabon's military leader, General Brice Nguema, who led a coup in 2023 that ended a near 60-year dynasty, has won the presidential election with more than 90% of the votes. Josephine Fawali has the rest of the story.
Ahead of the votes, critics argued that the new constitution and electoral code were designed to give Oligui Nguema a comfortable pathway to the top job. Nguema's victory brings him a 7-year mandate and the resources to tackle the corruption and bad governance that characterized the Bongo's time in power. General Brice's election victory consolidates his grip on power nearly 2 years after he masterminded the demise of President Ali Bongo, whose family has been in power in Gabon since 1967. More than 7 out of the 10 registered voters took part in the poll, which the authorities and some observers hailed as signifying the election took place transparently and peacefully. There were complaints of instances of irregularities in the process. However, at some polling stations, the vote was delayed, while some voters on the electoral roll were not able to find where they were meant to cast their ballot. Billy Bai Nze said he was particularly concerned by claims that in some places unmarked ballot papers were not kept in a secure location and that he feared that they could be used to stuff ballot boxes. Algeria has asked 12 French embassy staff to leave the country within 48 hours. France's foreign minister, Jean-Noël Barrot, has said it was linked to the indictment of 3 Algerians in France, one of whom is a consular official. Barrot urged Algeria to abandon the expulsion and said France is ready to respond immediately if they went ahead. They are accused of involvement in the abduction of Ami Boukars, 41, an outspoken critic of Algeria's government, who has an audience of more than 1 million people online. Boukars, also known as Ami Diz, has lived in France since 2016. According to his lawyer, Eric Plovier, he was abducted in April 2024 in the southern suburb of Paris and released the following day. Algeria's authorities also accused the influencer of being a saboteur linked to terrorist groups, which led to the North African nation issuing 9 international arrest warrants against him. He denies the allegation. In 2022, the French court refused attempts to extradite him to Algeria. The case is the latest in a growing number of incidents to have excavated a rift between France and Algeria. Josephine Fawale reporting for OSBC News.
And that ends the major reports on OSBC TV. It was edited by Michael Adene. I am Olubomi Ajiboye Agbola wishing you a pleasant evening. Good night.